discussion, and yesterday towards the end we attempted understanding the relationship between development and spread of extremism. Okay. So, we are talking primarily the internal security threats and challenges of Northeast. We have already discussed about the Naga insurgency. We have even completed the discussion on Armed Forces Special Power Act. Today we will take up for discussion a very contemporary issue, and that is about Bodo Peace Accord 2020. So, in the month of January 2020, a historic accord has been signed between the government of Assam, government of India and Bodo groups, and that has gone in the history as Bodo Peace Accord 2020. So, we are going to discuss about the problem of Bodoland in the Bodo part of Assam, okay. And there is a likelihood of question on this issue. The development, will it be able to bring peace in Lower Assam, or it will further complicate the security scenario in some other parts of Northeast. This is what we are going to discuss. So, we are all set to start the discussion on Bodo Peace Accord 2020 and insurgency in Bodoland, separatist movement in Bodoland. We will be talking about Bodo Peace Accord, Bodo Peace Accord 2020, and we will be talking about the problem which has been there in Bodoland. Okay, problem which has been there in Bodoland. Okay. So, before I say anything, I would just like you all to remember this, that Bodos are single largest tribal community in Assam, single largest tribal community in the state of Assam. Okay. They constitute approximately 5 to 6% of state's population, Bodos, and Bodos are settled in Lower Assam. They are inhabiting Lower Assam. Okay. Particularly they are inhabiting what? Areas which are in the bordering Bhutan. Okay. Areas in Lower Assam bordering Bhutan. I hope when I say Lower Assam and Upper Assam, you can understand. Okay, those who have not even studied basic geography, you just see this is the map of, right, this is the map of Assam. Okay. So, you just see river Brahmaputra, can you see all of you? River Brahmaputra in the state of Assam, it flows from east to west, and river always flow in accordance with slope. So, wherever the favorable slope, this means eastern part of Assam is higher and western part of Assam is lower. Okay. So, this is Upper Assam, this part of Assam is Upper Assam. Okay. In Upper Assam, you will find these places, important places, Tinsukia, Dibrugarh, Digboi, Sibsagar, okay, Lakhimpur, etc. And when it comes to Lower Assam, you can see very well, okay, this Kokrajhar, Dhubri, Lakhipur, Barpeta, Bongaigaon, Nalabari. Okay, so this all area, Udalguri, Guri, okay, all these areas, these they fall in Lower Assam. But what I am saying that they Bodo tribal community, they are settled in Lower Assam and they are settled in the areas which are bordering Bhutan. So, you can see very well bordering Bhutan. I would just like you all to have this understanding. You just see, they are right, they are mainly in the 4 districts of Assam. You can see very well, this is Kokrajhar district, this is Chirang district, okay, this is the Baksa district and this is Udalguri. Okay. So, they are Bodo tribal community in Lower Assam, you will find in 4 districts, you will find in Lower Assam and particularly within 4 districts. And which are those districts? Number 1, Kokrajhar, Kokrajhar. Number 2, Chirang. Number 3, Baksa. Number 4, Udalguri. Udalguri. So, in these 4 districts in Lower Assam, you will find the settlement of Bodos, and Bodos constitute the single largest tribal community in Assam. They together constitute approximately 5 to 6% of population, 5 to 6% of total population of Assam. And you will find, if you study the tribal population distribution in India, tribal population mostly, not always, but mostly you will find either in mountainous region, hilly region, forested region, or in desert area, semi-arid region. But this is one unique thing, that in the plain area where we have greenery, we have tribal population, and Bodos are one such tribe which are settled in plain area, and they are actively engaged in agriculture. They have a distinct culture, very distinct culture, and they have a unique identity. Okay. They have a unique identity. Let me just tell you that as far as Bodos are concerned, like many other ethnic group, they are also very particular about their distinct culture and unique identity. Okay, so I would just like you all to watch this video about Bodo land. You can see the different facet of Bodo's life. You need to have some understanding about Bodo tribes, their culture, the custom, the economy, rituals, belief, practices, tradition, dressing, festival, fooding, and like any other part of India, they have also not remained untouched with changes brought by Western world. You all to have this understanding that there is a very long history of separatist demand in the Bodoland part of area. So, I would just like you all to remember this, that the Bodos have had a long history of separatist demand, long history of separatist demands, and it is also marked by armed struggle, long history of separatist demand marked by armed struggle. Armed struggle. I would just like you all to have this awareness that if you make an in-depth analysis of internal security challenges in the state of Assam. Now, Assam is one state of India which for many years in history has seen influx of migration, illegal migration from Bangladesh as well as migration from some of the Indian states where people from Hindi speaking states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, even West Bengal, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, they have migrated and settled in Assam. And that has led to alteration in the demographic profile of Assam. In every respect, the demographic profile of Assam got altered. You know what is for many years, the local people of Assam, they have been complaining, and when I am using the word local people, meaning those who were, those who have inhabited, the forefathers have inhabited for many years, you know, such people, they are having some complaint. And what complaints they have? Number one, there is no need for me to tell you that in India, if we see crude oil and natural gas reserves, so in India we have crude oil and natural gas in the state of Assam, in Rajasthan, in Gujarat, and offshore exploration and mining also we are doing. But in Assam, Upper Assam, we have a vast reserve of crude oil and natural gas, and the mining is done by ONGC. So people have gas mining is done by GAIL. These are central government owned companies. They are earning huge profits. So people are complaining that the resources which they have is benefiting the country, but it's not benefiting the local people. Okay. Another complaint is Britishers introduced tea gardening in Assam. Almost 46-48% of the tea production of India alone is coming from the state of Assam, and I have briefed you that tea cultivation is a labor and capital intensive farming practice. So when Britishers introduced this in the beginning of 19th century in Assam, they encouraged laborers to migrate from Bengal to settle in Assam, and during those days Bengal was one unit. Only Britishers decided to partition Bengal, and when it was partitioned, we opposed. Okay, we opposed, but unfortunately later on West Bengal became the part of India and East Bengal became the part of Pakistan. You know the history this much. Okay, then since it was capital intensive, local people were not having that much money in those days. So people, rich and influential people from other parts of India, they settled in Assam and they purchased tea gardens and they invested and they were interested in return on investment. So local peoples have complained that tea gardens are owned by outsiders. Laborers who are working in tea garden, they are outsiders. The offices are also located outside the state, and this is the reason why, you know, they are not. But whatever little business and employment opportunity emerged in the state of Assam, that also grabbed by outsider, because people who migrated to Assam, they were more you can say qualified in comparison with the local people. So whatever employment opportunity over a period of time evolved, more outsiders, and in those days there was no law as such to protect the interest of local people in the job opportunity, business opportunity. This is what is the complaint which is there. Okay. So because of this complaint, what we saw, we have seen a Assam movement, very violent movement in Assam. Assam movement, and it started in the form of a student movement, 1979 to 85. 1979 to 85, the state of Assam witnessed a very violent movement which became infamous, famous, popular, whatever word you may use, in the name of Assam movement. And it was so violent that culmination of that movement, culmination of this movement led to the signing of Assam Accord. Assam Accord, the famous Assam Accord of 1985. Can you imagine, on 15th of August, when then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was going to hoist the national flag at Red Fort, in the strokes of midnight, he signed Assam Accord in 1985. Okay, in 1985. Now, what I am interested, I am not going to talk much about Assam Accord. We have to talk about the new Bodo Accord. Okay, so this Assam Accord actually gave birth to a very different kind of aspiration among the people of Bodoland, that if they can launch a movement and can get the right, if whole of Assam can launch a movement and can get their right protected in the form of signing of accord, then they will also go for a movement. So I would just like to say that the unrest in Bodoland, the unrest in Bodoland or Bodo inhabited areas of Assam, the unrest in Bodoland was fallout of Assam movement, was fallout of Assam movement, was the fallout of Assam movement. And I would just like you all to know that, see, right, see, as far as this Assam movement is concerned, that movement finally led to the signing of this historic Assam Accord in 1985. So many people in Bodoland, they felt that they would also launch a movement, and that should be a violent movement, then only the rights of Bodos can be protected, that kind of feel. So I would say that, see, the demand for separate state for the first time was raised in 1966-67. In this year, first time in this Bodoland region, we saw emergence of a demand or birth of a demand for separate state. So within Assam, they said that this Bodoland region should be carved out for creation of a separate state of Bodoland. And this demand was, or this demand was raised by PTCA. PTCA. PTCA is Plain Tribal Council of Assam, and it was a political outfit, nothing but a political outfit. Political outfit. Plain, right? Plain Tribal Council of Assam. It raised the demand that there should be a separate state of Bodoland. But, right, but in 1987, after the signing of Assam Accord, a very different aspirations came among the Bodo people, and one organization, All Bodo Student Union, All Bodo Student Union, ABSU, All Bodo Student Union, ABSU, renewed the demand in 1987, renewed the demand in 1987 with the slogan, divide Assam 50-50, divide Assam 50-50. Okay, and for that, right, for that, a very, you can say, aggressive movement, very aggressive movement was launched, very aggressive movement was launched in the state of Assam, right, in the state of Assam. And when nothing much was, right, when nothing much was given any consideration to this demand, no consideration was given by either the state government or by central government, then we saw emergence of outfits, emergence of outfits. Okay, NDFB, National Democratic Front of Bodoland, NDFB. Actually, even before it was formed in the name of NDFB, it was formed way back in 1986 itself in the name of BDSF. BDSF. Okay, that was Bodo Security Force in the form of a insurgent outfit, and subsequently it was named as NDFB, and it was formed by Ranjan Dimeri. Ranjan Dimeri. Okay, so it was formed by Ranjan Dimeri, and subsequently this was renamed as NDFB, National Democratic Front of Bodoland. And this National Democratic Front of Bodoland, with a demand for creation of separate state of Bodoland, and then they started talking about liberating Bodoland from Indian Union, and they started attacking security forces, they started killing, they started involving themselves in extortion, used the money which they earned through extortion to increase their firepower, and NDFB became a insurgent outfit. It became a insurgent outfit. But I would just like you all, later on, okay, in 2008, there was a bomb attack in Assam carried by NDFB in which 90 people were killed. Okay, 90 people were killed. And because of that attack, there was a split in NDFB. So, a split in NDFB and two factions. One NDFB, National Democratic Front of Bodoland, RD, Ranjan Dimeri, and second was NDFB, P, Progressive, and this progressive faction was led by Govinda Basumatri, okay, and Ranjan Dimeri, right, Ranjan Dimeri was there, and NDFB was pro-talks. Okay, NDFB was pro-talk, in favor of peace talks with the government to protect the interest of Bodo people, right, protect the interest of Bodo people. As far as Ranjan Dimeri is concerned, after the attack, he was one of the prime accused of that attack. So when he sneaked into Bangladesh, getting benefited with the open and porous border which we have with Bangladesh, later on he was arrested in Bangladesh and he was extradited to India. Okay, extradited to India. And then he was in jail, then he released, from the jail, then he was released from the jail, and then he started participating in the talks. Okay, participated in the talks. But I would just like you to, when he started, favoring talks after his arrest, then there was another faction of NDFB, that was NDFB-S. Okay, so basically, Ingti Songbijit, another leader, right, he formed a faction of NDFB led by him. He moved out of NDFB-R, and this faction said that they will continue with the underground movement, right, they will continue with the underground movement, and they termed them, because the leader was Songbijit, right, they termed themselves NDFB-S, okay, NDFB-S. And as far as NDFB-R or RD, they also started favoring peace later on, but when they started favoring peace and they were in favor of peace talks, then there was further split in NDFB under the leadership of Songbijit, and they formed this NDFB. Now let me tell you that this NDFB-S was responsible for attack in Lower Assam in December 2014 when Modi ji became the Prime Minister of India. Okay, immediately after he becoming the Prime Minister of India, we saw a massive attack Okay, and in this attack 66 Adivasis were killed, right? 66 Adivasis were killed, and this was a message which NDFB attempted giving to central government that they will not be in favor of talk, but they will be carrying out their underground movement, and they are hell bent on liberating Bodo land from Indian Union. Otherwise they should be provided, the statehood with many special powers, something of that nature. But what happened after that attack, because Adivasis were killed in this attack, there was opposition to Songbojit, and in 2015, Songbojit was removed as the chief of this group. Songbojit was removed as chief of this group, and who took over? B. Saurai Gwar. B. Now presently he is the chief of NDFB S. Okay, presently he is the chief of NDFB S, and now Songbojit is saying that he is not a Bodo, but he is a Karbi. Okay, he is a Karbi. So, and he has formed another small militant outfit, as media reports and intelligence units are saying. So, presently I would just like you all to have this understanding that NDFB S is there, NDFB RD is there, NDF, and in addition to this, right, in addition to this, we also have all Bodo Student Union. ABSU is very active in this region, very active in this region. So I hope you understood the history, but within this I would just like you all, when the movement was going on in the Bodo land with a demand that divide Assam 50-50, so the first Bodo Accord was signed in 1993. Okay, so the first Bodo Accord was signed in 1983. 93, sorry, the first Bodo Accord. First Bodo Accord was signed in 1993, and this Bodo Accord, which was signed in 1993, and it was signed between central government and all Bodo Student Union and the government of Assam, led to the creation of BAC, Bodo Land Autonomous Council, Bodo Land Autonomous Council. And this BAC, Bodo Land Autonomous Council, was given limited political powers, Okay, so some power was transferred from a state government to this autonomous council, as an attempt to bring peace in the region, But this accord failed to bring peace in the region because of certain thing. Number one was, it was not able to address many demands of all Bodo Student Union and the Bodo tribal community, number one. And number two, what was decided, that only, now when I said no, these 4 districts, it does not mean that in the 4 district only Bodo population is there. Non-Bodo population is also, in higher percentage in these districts, but single largest tribe is Bodo. So what I am just interested in telling you, that in BAC, Bodo Autonomous Council, it was decided that those villages will be brought under the jurisdiction of Bodo Autonomous Council which have population of more than 50%. So only the villages which have more than 50% Bodo population, those villages will be brought under the jurisdiction of Bodo Autonomous Council, and this council will have limited political powers, right, limited political power. And this is the reason why that even after this, okay, so one thing I would just, this accord failed to restore peace. And the failure was, right, failure was on account of what? Right, failure was that as per this accord, primarily the failure was on this account. As per this accord, all villages with 50%, all villages with 50% Bodo population were brought under jurisdiction, brought under the jurisdiction of BSE. BSE. Okay, and it failed, it failed to protect the rights of those Bodos who were residing in villages where their population was less than 50%. And even in these villages, what we saw that it induced conflict between Bodos and non-Bodos, and particularly Santhal tribes, particularly some Muslim settlers. I told you, that West Bengal, Assam and some other northeastern states have seen influx of migration starting with the middle of 18th, 19th century till today, I would say. When they are crossing the border today illegally, they are illegal migrant. So Muslim settlers are also there in the region. So we saw conflict between Bodo and Muslim settlers, and we saw conflict between Bodos and Santhal tribes from Jharkhand. They also migrated and they started working as laborers in tea garden. They are settled in this part. Okay, so we saw emergence of new problem even after the signing of historic first Bodo Accord, when P.V. Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister of India, and we thought that we have resolved the problem in the Bodo land, but immediately we could sense and realize that we have failed to resolve the problem, and rather the region has seen birth of another complex nature problem. And then a few years later in this region we saw again violent movement, killings, bloodshed, disturbance. And I told you, this is strategically very important for India. Bodo land in lower Assam ensures the connectivity of northeast with rest of India. All the trains which are running from national capital to different northeastern cities, they cross this region. The main highways which are connecting through road the northeast with mainland India, they are passing through this region. And strategically, you just see that how strategic. Can you see this? Now you see what is the problem in this region. Any disturbance in this region, this illegal, you can say this insurgent outfits, immediately after committing any wrong, they have the option to enter in West Bengal, and they are outside the jurisdiction of Assam police. The border is open and porous. Some of times they are sneaking into Bangladesh, sometimes they are sneaking into Bhutan. Okay, many rivers are there. Even with Bangladesh, we have riverine border. So you need to understand the strategic importance, the geographical terrain, the grassroots realities of this region. So bloodshed continued, killing continued, NDFB continued with underground movement, ABSU, All Bodo Student Union, continued with a very violent form of protest, with the demand that no, only and only way out you can satisfy our aspiration is by creating a separate state of Bodo land. So all these things were there. Okay, so the second accord was signed. Now after that again the peace talks started. So second accord was signed in 2003. Second Bodo Accord signed in 2003. And this second Bodo Accord, which was signed in the year 2003, it led to so autonomous, it led to the formation of BTC, Bodo Land Territorial Council. So earlier it was Autonomous Council, and this was, right, this was Bodo Land Territorial Council. So BSE was replaced with BTC. Now the first Bodo Accord was signed between three parties. Who were the parties? The Government of India, the Government of Assam and ABSU. But this second Bodo Accord was signed between By that time there was a very, you can say, militant outfit, Bodo Liberation Tigers, BLT, Bodo Liberation Tigers, BLT, Bodo Liberation Tigers. Okay. So they emerged as a very, so they were also the part of this signing of the second accord, signing of the second accord. But I would say that there was so much opposition to this accord by different militant outfits. NDFB was not approving. Even within Bodo Liberation Tiger, some factions, they said that this is utter nonsense, this is not acceptable. Okay, this is not acceptable. So that is something that this also failed. Okay, this also failed. However, I would just like you all to remember that this Bodo Territorial Council, Bodo Territorial Council, Bodo Territorial Council was for BTAD. This council was for which area? Bodo land, Bodo land BTAD. Okay. Bodoland Territorial Area District. This council was for BTAD, Bodoland Territorial Area District, within which 4 districts were there. So for that, what was created? BTC was created, Bodoland Territorial Council was created. And as far as Bodoland Territorial Council was created, Bodoland Territorial Council was created. This council was given, right, this council was vested with legislative, administrative, financial powers. Okay, financial powers were given. Okay, financial power. And so what were certain subject, but not for every subject, this is the most important, in respect of a specified subject, in respect of a specified subjects. So let me just explain to you what was done in this BTC. What we said, and it was completely different than Bodoland Autonomous Council, BAC. We vested even legislative power, meaning they can make law on some subjects, but that law can only be enforced in that 4 district. So we attempted reducing the powers of Assam in these regions. Government of Assam powers were limited in these regions, and those powers which actually to be exercised by the state government, those powers were vested with the Bodoland, right, Bodoland Territorial Council. And legislative powers, meaning what? The power to make law for the region. Administrative power, meaning the council was given a very influential say in the matter of local administration, and state government used to earmark separate budget for this territorial council, and how that budget will be used, that would be decided by the territorial council, and the members of the territorial council to be elected, and territorial council used to have a tenure, and all such provisions were made in the Bodoland Accord of 2003. One good thing which was there, because after the first accord, what we found, that it induced conflict between Bodos and non-Bodos. So in this accord, we also attempted providing, so this accord provided adequate safeguard, safeguards to non-tribal or non-Bodos also, you can say, in BTC area, okay, in BTC area. But I would say that despite BTC vested with legislative, administrative and financial power, despite provisions were created to safeguard the interest of non-Bodos in the BTC area, even this accord failed, and primarily it failed because NDFB in particular opposed, saying that this is not protecting the interest of Bodos the way they want, and then they said nothing less than the separate state is what is acceptable. With that demand, they continued with their underground movements, and again even the All Bodo Student Union, they also favored a political movement in the region, and that is how again the whole region got disturbed. Now you know very well that 2014 December incident was a very major setback for Modi government, and then Modi government attempted reaching out to the Bodo people. Then there was a electoral success for BJP in the state of Assam, and the Assam government was asked to look into this matter and find a permanent, peaceful solution to this problem. And the central government assured the state government of Assam that we will give you unconditional support to resolve this problem. Okay, so with many years of negotiation, finally the historic third Bodo Accord, Bodo Peace Accord 2020, right, Bodo Peace Accord 2020 was signed, right, was signed. Third attempt we can say to restore peace, third attempt to restore peace. The earlier two attempts to resolve the conflict was in 93 and 2003, 93 and 2003, okay, 93 and 2003. This was signed in January 2020, January 2020. This is a, you know, tri-party accord. So three parties are there to the accord. Those three parties are Government of India, Government of Assam, and Government of India, Government of Assam, and ABSU, Bodo groups, and those groups are ABSU, All Bodo Student Union, a militant outfit, NDFB, National Democratic Front of Bodoland, UBPO, that is United Bodo People's Organization, okay. And when I am saying NDFB, this is the most important, all four factions. So the third party is Bodo group, okay. So Government of India, Government of Assam, then Bodo groups, and these groups include the main players, ABSU, All Bodo Student Union, NDFB, all four factions of NDFB, and then a very, you can say, group which has gained prominence in the recent past, United Bodo's People's Organization, United Bodo People's Organization. Okay. Now, you just try to understand this, that as per this 2020 accord, right, as per this 2020 accord, what has been decided? What has been decided that earlier what was there? BTC. Okay. So earlier what was there in that region? BTC. Now this BTC, has been renamed as BTR, Bodoland Territorial Region, okay, BTR, Bodoland Territorial Region. So it will be a council only, okay, it will be a council only, but what has been done, right, what has been done, that we have expanded the power, okay, we have expanded the power of this BTR, okay. So BTR has been provided more legislative powers in comparison with BTC, more legislative powers, more executive powers, more administrative powers, and more financial powers. Now, this is something which you need to remember. This is the most important development. Okay. So, more in comparison to BTC, more legislative power, executive power, administrative power, financial powers have been vested with BTR. If we compare, then comparison can bring us to this conclusion that overwhelming powers have been given to BTR, Bodoland Territorial Region, right? Bodoland Territorial Region, in which we will have a council. Okay, in which we will have a council, and that council has been vested with, more legislative power. Now, in what respect more legislative powers? I would just like you all to know, in what respect. See, earlier, what was there? Earlier, there were 40 specific subjects, with which there were 40 specific subjects with which BTC used to have, powers. BTC used to have powers. Now, this number has been increased to 48. So, some more subjects on which the decision was taken by Assam government, now the decision will be taken by the council in the BTR region. Now, the council in the BTR region. And not only that, so not only there is increase, quantitative increase, but qualitative increase also, that earlier there were limited powers, now we have given more powers. Are you getting that? All of you? Are you getting that? And almost I would say that this BTC for BTR, Bodoland Territorial Council for now BTR, will be like a autonomous self-governing body, autonomous self-governing body, and it has been vested with more powers. It will remain, right? It will remain a autonomous council under 6th schedule of Indian Constitution, but with overwhelming powers. Okay. Not only this, there are many, different things which we see in this accord. Now, this accord talks about constitution of a committee. This accord talks about a constitution of a separate committee. Okay. And that committee, right, rather the word used is commission. So, we should also use the word commission. I told you the difference between committee and commission. Commission has wider term of reference and more autonomy to study the subject in comparison with committee. In committee, very specific is the term of reference, but for commission, there will always be a very broad term of reference. Okay. So, the accord talks about constitution of a commission. So, new commission will be constituted by the government, and this commission will examine. This has been the main bone of contention. We have attempted resolving this time. This commission will examine and recommend if villages contiguous to BTAD, that is Bodo Territorial Area District, those 4 districts, okay, BTAD, and with majority tribal population, can be included in BTR, that is Bodoland Territorial Region. So what has been the bone of contention? Now people have been demanding that Bodos are settled not only in these 4 districts, but adjoining many villages are there in which Bodos are there, and they should also be brought under the BTAD was the long pending demand. Now what has been decided under the peace accord? The decision in the peace accord is that a commission will be constituted. That commission will be asked that village wise they should study, and if the village is sharing border with BTAD, sorry, and in that village if tribal population constitutes the majority of the population, then can that village be included under BTR or not? That decision will be taken by this commission. Okay, this commission will decide. Not only that, but there are many Bodos who are not only outside the BTR and outside the village which are sharing boundary with BTAD, but they are in other parts. So for such people, another provision is there that government will set up Bodo Kachari. Last 7-8 months you might have been reading a lot about this Bodo Kachari Welfare Council. I am quite hopeful that in this main 2020 itself, in January, they may ask a question on Bodo problem. Okay, so government will set up a Bodo Kachari Welfare Council, and this will be this council, Bodo Kachari, right, Welfare Council, and this council will be responsible for focused development of Bodo villages, meaning villages in which Bodo population is there, Bodo villages outside BTAD, Have you understood? Okay, so one commission will be constituted, and that commission will see that the villages which are contiguous, meaning those villages which are sharing with the boundary with BTAD, and in that village if the tribal population is majority, then that village can be brought under the jurisdiction of BTR or not. So that will be decided by commission, and there will be some villages which will not be brought under the jurisdiction. Now for the welfare of those villages which will be outside BTAD, for such villages what will be constituted? A separate committee will be there, and that committee will monitor the development, and that committee will be spearheading, will be leading the focused development in those villages, and that committee will be known as the Bodo Kachari Welfare Committee, right? Bodo Kachari Welfare Committee. Now, have you understood? So what all you need to know about the Peace Accord 2020? Okay, Peace Accord 2020, we have renamed BTC, or you can say BTAD, as BTR, and this BTR will have more powers. Okay, will have more powers in financial matter, in administrative matter, in legislative matter, as well as executive matter. If we compare BTC and the new setup, then there is a lot of difference as far as powers are concerned. Okay, and I told you qualitative and quantitative both. Earlier 40 specific subjects were under the purview of BTC, but now we have increased it to 48, and with the 48 we have given more powers in comparison to the 40 subjects which earlier were under the purview of BTC. Okay, so more powers and number of specific subjects both has increased, right? Both has increased. Not only that, right? Not only that, the composition of BTR, that also has So earlier in the assembly or the council, you can say, earlier in the assembly there used to be 40 members. Okay, so before 2020, how many members assembly membership? That used to be 40. Okay, with new accord, this number has been increased to 60. So now the members will elect 60 members. Number has been increased to 60. Numbers have been increased to 60. Okay, so that is another important change which has been brought. The if you ask me, the biggest change which has been brought, and this has been a long pending demand, now what has been decided, that this Bodo language, linguistic divides are very wide in Assam. We have seen conflict between Assamese speaking and Bengali speaking people in Assam. Okay. So, what has been decided? Bodo language with Devanagari script, the script in which Hindi is written, Devanagari script. This will have the status of associate official language of Assam, associate official language of Assam. So, it will be for entire Assam. Earlier it was for Bodoland region, it used to be associate official language. Okay, now it will be the associate official language of Assam. Bodo language with Devanagari script will be the associate official language of Assam. Okay, this is a, you can say a very important, right, very important change. And already I have said, right, already I have said, historic in many respect. A special development package has been announced, a special, and this is one of the criticism about Modi government. Okay, a special development package, a special development package has been announced of rupees 1500 crore, 1500 crore, okay, for project specific development of Bodoland region, Bodo region. Okay, so a special development package of 1500 crore, huge amount of money. You just imagine that 1500 crore if is, you know, I want you to see how big is the figure, that 4 districts are there, meaning approximately one district will get around 375 crore, right, approximately 375 crore. Now you imagine in one district of India, if we spend 375 crore in the name of development, how much development is possible. Okay. So, that is something. So, a special development package has been announced. Not only that, I hope you are aware with this, that it has been decided that cases which are registered, cases registered against NDFB, National Democratic Front of Bodoland, all 4 factions, right, members, okay, members shall be withdrawn, and not only this, right, not only this, let me tell you that it's not that all the cases will be withdrawn, okay, heinous, non-heinous cases will be withdrawn, non-heinous shall be withdrawn, and heinous brutal crime if they have committed, that shall be reviewed, okay, that shall be reviewed, and all those who were killed, during Bodo movement, for them 5 lakh rupees will be given to the family, next to kin, rupees 5 lakh, okay, rupees 5 lakh. Okay. And even in the December 2019 itself, I hope you are aware with this, there was a nationwide protest when Parliament enacted Citizenship Amendment Act, CAA, Citizenship Amendment Act. And I hope you are aware with the fact that even in this accord, even in that Amendment Act, it was said that areas which are under 6th schedule in the 4 Indian states, that is Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram, they will be exempted from Citizenship Amendment Act. Again, that thing has been reinforced that it will be exempted. Okay. So, BTR have been exempted from Citizenship Amendment Act 2019, Citizenship Amendment Act 2019. So, the act will not be, Amendment Act of 2019 will not be applicable in BTR region, Okay. So, these are the provisions under the Peace Accord 2020. Okay. So, what I would just like you all to remember that many of the security experts are of the opinion that this peace accord of 2020 may prove, right, may prove historic and will bring peace, permanent peace in this region. It will promote harmony in this region. It will even promote togetherness in the state of Assam. It will be a big step forward towards resolving a long, pending conflict in this region. Okay. So, all those things are being said, right, all those things are being said. Bodo Peace Accord 2020. Okay. So, we need to do the discussion in two dimensions. One is benefits or advantages, or challenges. Other side we have challenges or some concerns which are there. Okay, some concerns which are there, and you need to understand both. Okay, you need to understand both. So, I told you that a big step forward, a giant step forward. Many are saying that this will prove a big step forward, a giant step forward towards, right, towards bringing permanent peace, harmony, togetherness in the people of Assam. Okay. This part of India is a strategic importance. Okay. This part of India is of a strategic importance. If we are able to restore peace, the consequential impact of that will be on, accelerating the pace of development in whole Northeast. Okay. And disturbance in this part has consequential impact in rest of Northeast. Okay, rest of Northeast because of the strategic importance. So, this peace accord is being seen a big step forward, a giant step forward towards resolving a long insurgency or because a long pending conflict, I would say. And we are hopeful, some of the experts have said that it may bring permanent peace, it may promote harmony, it will prove a big step towards promoting togetherness in the people of Assam, Okay. And the best feature is, in this whole peace accord, democratic oriented developmental initiative, democratic oriented initiatives for development of the region. Because people will decide on their own. They now have power, they now have authority, they now have opportunity to monitor what kind of development they want, and they will have money to do that kind of development, and they will always be given more weightage that the development in the region should protect the distinct culture, that should, maintain the unique identity of the tribal community. So it's in harmony with culture. Whatever developmental model now will develop in the region, because that will be planned by the people, because we have allowed what? Devolution of power from, state government in favor of this council or this region, territorial region. So that is what is one very, so wide range of, we can say, democratic oriented initiatives will start for development is what is the hope of many, based on the features which we see in this peace accord, And we are also trying to bring in mainstream for the first time, those people who previously were associated with armed resistance. So those who were, earlier having a belief that, only through barrel of gun they can protect the culture, now we are trying to bring such people in the mainstream. So we are talking about dropping all cases if they are accused of committing non-heinous case. We are also talking about the review of cases if they have committed heinous cases, NDFB. We have decided that we will suspend all operations against NDFB, all operations against the NDFB, and we will rehabilitate NDFB cadres. And for rehabilitating, already the numbers I have not burdened you, already the central government in this peace accord has, figured that 1500 cadres who were fighting with weapon, now they are to be rehabilitated. So they will be brought in the mainstream, and for them employment opportunity once we are able to drop the case which is against them. And there will be, of course, case to case basis assessment. So on that basis, we are saying that this will be a big step forward towards restoring the peace in the region. And they all, those who were fighting till date for some rights, they will now contribute in nation's progress. And if you ask me, my opinion, that how this accord is unique, because for the first time we have been able to bring together, I would not use the word all, but I would not hesitate to use the word leading stakeholders, bring together leading stakeholders. And this is why even I have higher hope that this peace accord will prove historic in restoring peace. Because earlier accord, we used to see that main stakeholders will remain outside, but this time all four factions of NDFB, then all Bodo Student Union being the part of it, and then central government and the state government together saying that they will do, because, and I told you, even the political situation is favorable, because the government in party in power at center is the party in power in the state, and the state is will go for election soon. So it will be easy for center to convince the state to allow devolution of power as per the agreement under the peace accord in favor of BTR. Earlier what was there? That a state in the during the talks will agree, but later on they will not allow devolution the way they agreed. They will find some or other within that accord to delay what they agreed, because they know that the power of BTR is increasing at the cost of power which is of the state government. And the challenge in India, that nobody wants to shed power, but everybody wants to shed the responsibility. We want to exercise more power but without responsibility. That has been the complex thing. So these are some of the very visible benefits which can be of this Bodo Peace Accord. Now some challenges and concerns which are there, and those challenges and concerns, those challenges and concerns. Now, what you will find that there are other autonomous councils as well. There are there are, and this will be interesting to see how Modi ji is going to deal with these problems in future. There are other councils under 6th schedule of Indian Constitution, right, 6th schedule of Indian Constitution, and none of them have been conferred such wide ranging powers, So naturally they will also demand that if it can be for BTR, why can't it be for us? And if you know, is it an incentive? Is it an incentive that you also do some violence? Then government will increase the power of your autonomous council. Many councils have said, already their reaction have come, that we are waiting for government to take affirmative step and give us the power within the state at par with BTR, and if they will not give power, then it means that the government message is very clear of the central government that we will give you power only when there will be, you know, movement followed by bloodshed, violence, killing in the region. Okay. So one big challenge which is associated with the peace accord, that how the government of India along with respective state government is going to answer to the demand which will come from other autonomous councils under 6th schedule for increasing the powers vested in them at par with what they have agreed for BTR. So will you be able to write one challenge, very important challenge, right? Very important challenge. That is, right, that is something which is there. So you need to, right, you need to bring in discussion this, right, this very important challenge or the concern which is associated. I told you earlier that neither it is wise nor it is advisable to resolve one problem and in the process giving birth to similar problem in other regions. So that is number one. Number two, right, number two challenge, and that is equally, you know, very complex, that you just see already Bodo, right, Bodo, non-Bodo conflict in the region is increasing, and people are saying that with this new arrangement this conflict will further increase. Why? Because you just see when there were, right, when there were 40 seats, only 10 was reserved for non-Bodos. When there were 40 seats in the assembly, 10 were reserved for non-Bodos. And despite 10 reserved for non-Bodos, non-Bodos in entire Bodo territorial council areas, they started complaining that Bodo leaders are discriminating with non-Bodos in the region, and that is not acceptable. Okay, not acceptable. On the basis of ethnicity and tribe, if we see, Bodo may be more in number, but if we see non-Bodos together in comparison with Bodo, then non-Bodos number is more. And since non-Bodos number is more, if such people will be discriminated, then it will give birth to very serious nature socio-economic problems followed by security problems and other. Okay. So the format of the peace accord, there is one fear that it will lead to further increase in Bodo non-Bodo conflict in the region. Bodo aspiration to great extent got, you know, Bodo aspiration to great extent got satisfied, but the problem is, right, but the problem is non-Bodo, okay, Bodo conflict in the region. Not only that, right, not only that, let me just tell you, one of the provision is one thing which has been said, right, one thing which has been said, Bodos are, you just see, this is very important, Bodos are mainly in plain area, but some Bodos some Bodos, they are in nearby hills, and for such Bodos there is a provision that they will be conferred, those who are outside BATD, they will be conferred scheduled tribe hills status, scheduled tribe hills status. Okay, some Bodos who are inhabiting the nearby hills and they are outside BTAD, because BTAD is mainly for plain areas. Now they will be conferred ST hill status, they will be conferred scheduled tribe hill status. Now